Bitcoin provides the ultimate tease, coming within 0.2% of 100K, touching $99,800 on Friday before dropping 8% early this week. So what's causing this price drop? And should you be worried? Or an even better question, who is selling Bitcoin under $0.1 million per coin? One thing's for sure, it's not this guy. Today we compare this tiny Bitcoin correction to an almost identical one almost exactly 4 years ago to the day, and you might be able to guess what happened next. Could M2 money supply correlation spell out a further dip from here? Or will insatiable corporate demand rocket us through the 100K sell wall before the holidays? Bitcoin pulled off quite possibly the most epic tease late last week as we came within $200 of touching the $100,000 milestone before slowly correcting down over the weekend and early this week. If this is your first Bitcoin cycle, this might seem like a scary drop, but in the grand scheme of things and in comparison to other cycles, this is a dip for ants, and one you should most definitely be a buyer of. Take a look at this chart comparing bull cycle drawdowns throughout Bitcoin's history to this current one. It really shows you how good we have it so far. You see, Bitcoin bull cycles tend to have 3 to 4, 20 to 30% corrections along the way, and seasoned Bitcoiners recognize these dips as buying opportunities. Bitcoin legend Adam Back has this famous quote often repeated at these times: "Dips exist to transfer Bitcoin from weak hands to stronger hands." So who are the weak hands selling Bitcoin here? One person we can definitely rule out is Michael Saylor, who announced another 50,000+ Bitcoin purchase for his company MicroStrategy early Monday. That's more than 100,000 Bitcoin just over the last 2 weeks. The company now holds a staggering 386,700 Bitcoin. At this rate, Saylor seems poised to run through his $42 billion raise and buy plan within the next few months, which means, incredibly, MicroStrategy reaching 1 million coins before this bull market is over is not out of the question. And he's already up huge on his company's Bitcoin holdings. As @TheFlowHorse says in a post on X, if Saylor sold here, he would go down as having placed one of the best trades of all time, up 14.9 billion so far. To which Saylor cheekily responded, "I'm not selling." And of course he's not selling. He tells everyone who will listen that Bitcoin is going to 13 million per coin in 20 years.
And what I tell everybody is every Bitcoin you don't buy today is going to cost you $13 million in the future.
Michael Saylor, giving us a lot to think about this morning. We appreciate you joining us on this Friday morning. Thank you.
So why would Saylor sell here just below 100K when he still has over 130x to go? I should note that 13 million per coin is Saylor's conservative prediction. His bullish case is a staggering $49 million per coin. So if it's not Saylor and it's not you or me selling, who is it? Well, as Adam Back says, this selling is most likely heavily paper-handed investors who don't fully understand what it is they're trading. This chart shows that people that accumulated around $68,000 per coin sold 198,000 coins in November for a measly 1.5x gain. So high time preference traders for sure are selling, but also you can't discount long-term holders, think whales who bought below $1,000 per coin, who see this 100K milestone as a no-brainer to offload a small percentage of their coins to fund their lifestyle. Money is a means to an end after all. This is also how Bitcoin naturally distributes from a small amount of massive whales to the rest of the globe slowly over time. The Bitcoin use case will skew towards a medium of exchange as more long-term holders find their wealth overwhelmingly in Bitcoin and begin to use it as a medium of exchange instead of just a store of value. So if we usually have 20 to 30% corrections in bull markets, are we in for something similar now that could see us go back into the 80Ks? Of course, it's possible. One case for a further drop from here is Bitcoin's very close correlation with global M2 money supply. As Joe Consorti points out with this great chart, Bitcoin has tracked global M2 with a 70-day lag since September of 2023. He says, "I don't want to alarm anyone, but if it continues, Bitcoin could be in for a 20 to 25% correction." And as you can see in the chart, global M2 is in white and Bitcoin is in orange. Joe also points out that Bitcoin has dislocated from the money stock numerous times, namely from 2022 to 23, due to the FTX collapse and interest in the space evaporating as a result. It could buck this 2-month bout of M2 deflation thanks to structural ETF inflows and corporate buying pressure. We'll just have to see. So personally, I wouldn't bet on a 20 to 25% drop, as demand right now is still extremely hot with ETFs and aggressive corporate buying pressure led by MicroStrategy. Plus, if you're looking at history, this one caught my eye today. Exactly 4 years ago to the day, Bitcoin came within a hair of $20,000 per coin and proceeded to correct down to around 16K, where it cooled off and hung out for a few weeks before exploding up above 30K in December of 2020. So history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it sure rhymes. And thus far, this cycle has tracked eerily close to past cycles. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. Pantera's Dan Moorhead seems to think the days of Bitcoin having the small possibility of going to zero are done.
You bet your life it's not going to zero? I used to tell people it could definitely go to zero to try and be, conservative. I don't think it's possible now. 50 million people in the U.S. own it, 300 million people globally. BlackRock and Fidelity are selling it. Like, it really has reached escape velocity.
But you're 745,000. I mean, I heard 13 million from Michael Saylor the other day.
I think it can go. It's going up 3 orders of magnitude since we launched our fund. I think it could go up a fourth, and that puts it at 15 trillion market cap, which it still seems relatively small versus 500 trillion of financial assets. That's doable.
So even this conservative fund manager thinks that 700K Bitcoin is small when compared to available capital in the world. So as Bitcoin continues its inevitable climb to and above 100K, $1 million per coin is becoming a much more believable price target, as it came up casually on CNBC late last week.
We've seen this torrid run in Bitcoin right now. I guess just what is propelling this, especially as you have Gensler stepping down as SEC chair, you have options trading and Bitcoin ETFs, and the likes of MicroStrategy going to the market to snap up everything they can in terms of supply?
Look, there's so many things happening at the same time. Obviously, the election was a big catalyst here, and the markets have spoken, and you can see that that's been very positive for the market. We were watching on the way over here, right? Bitcoin ticking. We said, is it going to be 100,000 right now? And we remember the celebrations we had when it was at 1,000 and at 10,000, and now here we are about to be at 100,000. And I think at some point, not too far in the distant future, we're going to be thinking about $1 million Bitcoin price. And really, it's just a confluence of everything happening all at once.
Bitcoin is right on schedule to be called a bubble once again, and presumably it will be called dead again when or if it crashes to higher lows. This chart will become blatantly obvious to more and more people with every cycle that passes. In other bullish news, the Bitcoin corporate adoption race is accelerating as main YouTube competitor Rumble Video announced a Bitcoin treasury strategy, which will include Bitcoin purchases up to $20 million. I expect this corporate adoption trend to accelerate as more public and private companies around the world wake up to the opportunity right in front of them. Bitcoin mining giant Marathon Digital Holdings, who in addition to being one of the global leaders in Bitcoin mining hash rate, has also announced a 0% convertible note offering to buy more Bitcoin for their treasury on top of what they hold through mining. Marathon also released a paper in support of the US Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, adding the need for the US to be global leaders in mining, block space, and hash rate. Marathon CEO Fred Thiel was on CNBC recently talking about the growing corporate demand for Bitcoin.
We're going to see is essentially institutions just waiting to buy up Bitcoin. You look at MicroStrategy, their $3 billion bond, they're out there buying Bitcoin very aggressively. We raised $1 billion bond at 0% coupon same week as Michael Saylor did, and we went out and acquired hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. So lots of people are starting to do this now. And so anybody who's selling is selling into a market where there's ample demand. And I think that for the foreseeable future, we'll continue to see Bitcoin price move up, up and down, but generally the trend will be upwards.
So with demand increasing, this dip is most definitely one you should be buying and not selling. And you can buy the dip today through services like Swan. Visit swan.com or download the app by searching for Swan Bitcoin in the App Store. Swan has the fastest onboarding experience in the industry, as you can go from sign up to buying Bitcoin within minutes. Plus, you get your first $10,000 in Bitcoin purchases with zero fees. Visit swan.com to lock in some Bitcoin below 100K. That's it for today. Let me know what you think of this dip in the comments below. Like this video and share it with a friend. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more high signal Bitcoin content. Thanks for watching, and remember, buy the dip and hold long term.